I'm here at Lake Temescal with Tom Rankin and Janet Capella here in Oakland, California. And Tom's having some memories of times in the 60s in the East Bay.
That's right. Memories of the 60s. Going back to the middle 60s, I was in college and I went to work as a truck driver at night in order to work my way through college. I met lots of guys there. I knew a couple of guys for 2 years before I learned that they were Hells Angels. And they lived locally. The one I got really closest to was living in El Cerrito with his mother and his wife and two daughters. And he had a separate life away from home. Uh, he was always a swashbuckling biker. He would fight, he would call people names, he would slack at work, all the things that a biker will do. And yet, I knew that at some point in his life, he would become something like a Buddhist. And I knew him all his life from then on. That is what happened. But at the time I'm speaking of right now, he had the life and the location that I mentioned, and he was dealing, and he rented a stash house somewhere in the hills of East Bay where he'd keep all his stuff for sale. And he hired a guy to look after the house for him. Well, this guy was definitely not a biker. He was more like a flake, if there's any clubs by that name. And so the first thing he did at the house was to go out and find a chick, and he installed her at the house. I went over there one night when a lot of the bikers were around, and this girl was sitting there. In fact, she was sitting next to me on the couch. She was a beautiful girl, had long black hair, had eyes the color of robin's eggs, and she was probably underage. For some reason, all the bikers got up and went to do something in the kitchen. I was left alone with her. She immediately began to open up to me. She said, "This guy here, he's keeping me loaded all the time. I don't know what I'm taking. It's having a bad effect. One time he gave me something and I couldn't see for 3 days before my eyesight finally came back." Well, I'd heard enough. I said to her, "I'm going to give you everything in my wallet right now. I would like you to take that and buy yourself a Greyhound bus ticket, get the hell out of town as quick as you can, never look back, and for God's sake, don't tell anybody that we did this. These are bikers. It could be our lives. So just go, okay?" She promised that she would, and I believe she did because I never saw her again. And I envisioned her, this beautiful girl with the flowing black hair and robin's egg eyes, on a bus. Hopefully nobody pestering her on the bus. Going back to where she came from, probably a respectable upper middle class family. Probably she was just out here to see what it was all about, and she's safe home now. And that's my story. As I said, my friend who was the biker eventually dropped out, had to fight with a number of other bikers just to hang up his vest and get out of there. And he became more kind, gentle, more joyous. Yeah, you could see it in his photographs. He's not living anymore. There's lots of legends about his life, but he's gone. And he did become very much like a Buddhist at the end there. And that's my story.
Thank you, Tom.
I'm sorry that I had to cough.
That's okay.
Leave it in.
I will. No problem. Makes it real.
Yeah.